very front on your left if you're trying to find it. I remember the original Frankenweenie you actually had to do on the slide. I recall maybe you got in a little trouble for doing it until they released it on video, which is where I saw it. Is this some sort of great revenge that now they're authorizing a feature film version to fully develop it?
Revenge, I don't know if it's a good word, though. I mean, it's a project that always meant something to me, and then with the opportunity to do it in stop motion, black and white, sort of expand on it, and with other kids and other monsters, other characters. It just seemed like the right medium in the project. So, even though it's revisiting something that did a long time ago, it feels new and special.
We're here on the right.
Hi, Tim. I'm curious, as you started to expand the concept of the story, like, how many things were ideas that had been lingering in your head that you didn't get a chance to execute then, or occurred to you over time? How many were just brand new as you sat down to think about this particular?
Well, I mean, there's always characters that I had sort of have. Sometimes you do characters you don't know what it fits into. So there was always some little characters that it's kind of playing around with. Also, just going back, because not only the thing with the boy and his dog, but going back to school and remember some of the kids that I remember in school and some of the weird teachers and things. So it was a way to kind of, and also like growing up in those kind of Universal horror films, I was also a fan of like when they do like House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula, where they kind of Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, they kind of combine them together. So a lot of it had to do with those kind of things that I love.
Over here on the left.
Tim, can you describe the emotional reaction you had when you walk out on stage at Hall H and feel the love from such a large crowd? Is it something you find daunting or delightful?
Well, no, it's amazing, because I wish my family treated me that way. Walk in the door, nobody says anything, so it's nice to kind of do that sort of thing. No, I remember coming to this like back in the late 70s when it was at the Holiday Inn, in San Diego. So it is amazing what it's turned into.
In front here.
Hi, Tim. I love your work, and I wanted to know, there seems like there's an emotional connection to you to your films, it seems like you bring back a dog of yours in almost every one of your children's films. Can you give me a little background about that? Is that true?
Well, I think, it's when you're young, it's the first kind of pure relationship you have. If you're lucky enough to have a pet that you love, and it's something that's like connects right to your heart. And I think that's the thing. I was lucky enough to have this special pet that I have that kind of relationship with. So, the whole sort of Frankenstein element is kind of wish fulfillment in that kind of way. And I always found those movies like Frankenstein quite emotional. So it seemed like a fairly natural connection to combine the two.
Way over on the far right.
Thank you all for coming today. Don, it's great to see you working on an animated feature again. With your experience in Disney Renaissance, what is it like for you to be working on another animated feature? But this one, it's also a stop motion animated feature, and it's also a black and white stop motion animated feature.
Yeah, I think the first black and white animated feature ever. I'm going to say that. It's great. It's an insane way to make a movie. I've never made a stop motion movie before. That's why Allison's here, because she's become a master of movies like Horse Bride and Fantastic Mr. Fox. But it's terrific. It's particularly terrific to work with him and be able to kind of support him in his storytelling, and he also becomes a magnet for talent. So for people like Recliners to join us, and John August, our writer, and kind of crew of animators that just migrates to these projects, it's really exciting as a producer to see that, because everyone wants to help tell the story and put something special on the screen. And to me, stop motion animation is extraordinary because you see the hand of the artist, which is, as much as I love CG animation and other forms of animation, it's what I absolutely love about this art form. You can actually see and feel the artist and touch and feel their work. So it's been a great experience.
Back here on the left aisle.
My question is for Tim Burton. Being, of course, Frankenweenie has a lot of horror elements, and of course, the Dark Shadows had some of the vampire horror elements. Would you jump back into that genre of straight-up horror, like in the vein of a Sleepy Hollow again after this?
Well, I think I've had enough of me for a while. After this one, I think I'll take a little bit of a rest. Like I said, for me, this one is such a special project, you know, and so I'm just going to sort of take the time to enjoy that and try to nurture that and see it through to its release.
All the way in the back.
This question is from Mr. Burton, over here in the back. First off, how do you feel about your animated work, having started with Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse Bride, now going to your third movie? How do you feel that it has progressed? Second part of the question, over 20 years ago, Batman 1989, one of the first people who dug into that superhero world. How do you feel about the current state of superhero movies?
Well, I mean, it's, I recall back to when we were doing that and how worried they were all that it was too dark, and now it looks like a lighthearted romp, you know. Batman on ice, you know. So it's interesting because it was such a kind of a struggle to kind of get that at the time, but and animation, I do love stop motion. These things always take time to get done because it's a rarefied medium, people, it's kind of a slightly lost art form, although there's more being done now than there was in the past. And it's just there's something that's so beautiful about it, and just to be able to touch and feel the puppets and move them. It's something magical about it. You kind of wish everybody could kind of experience it because it's hard to talk about it. It's like if you felt these things, and just the intricacy of the movement and all, it's quite a beautiful art form.
No, sure, no.
Hi, this question is for Atticus. Hi. I was wondering what's it like to work with Mr. Burton and to work in this genre with the stop motion. Did you play with toys or not?
I think it's amazing. I absolutely love everything about it because for me it's something completely different because I do theatrical as well and I have done other just animation, but having it be a stop motion animation and also Tim Burton animation is just wonderful for me. And I gotta admit, I did geek out when I said I was able to work with Mr. Burton. And,
Well, also it's great because somebody like Atticus, it's like the animators really, appreciate it because it's like they like to put the person in it, and he's great.
In the half here.
Yes, my favorite time at Disneyland is when Jack and all the Nightmare Before Christmas people take over the Haunted Mansion. And I was wondering if Disneyland's going to have any of the characters there that going to the movies October. And for everybody, what's your favorite ride at Disneyland?
Oh, I love Sleeping Beauty's castle. That's still there?
I think it is, yeah.
I'm a Space Mountain man myself. I think the Haunted Mansion that was such an honor because it's like, I grew up with that, loving the Haunted Mansion, and so that they turned it into Nightmare Stuff was a real amazing thing for me. I mean, it's like one of those weird dream come true kind of things. So that was a very special moment for me.
Right in front of you.
Hi, this question is for Mr. Burton. Considering the immense fan base present throughout whole Mexico, the Tijuana film community, through the event Tijuana Innovadora, which focuses on promoting a good image of the city, has managed to gather important film figures such as Robert Redford and Robert Rodriguez as confirmed guest speakers. Now here's a question. If approached by an organizing committee in an event such as this, what would be your interest in actually partaking in an event like this?
I don't know. I mean, I've been to Mexico. I went to the Guanajuato Film Festival, which was, have you ever been there? They showed movies in like mummy caves, and it's amazing. So this sounds like a different kind of thing. I don't know. What would I talk about?
It would be basically about how you perceive film, the medium in general. Frank and Winnie being in IMAX now, it's the first black and white in IMAX.
Yeah, it's exciting. I prefer to I'm one of those people that would rather just show a movie than talk about it because it's like there's something about that's why you do it is to let people see it and not hear too much about it and stuff. So I'm more of a fan of just doing the work and letting it hopefully speak for itself.
In the front hallway here on the left.
Hey, Tim, Mark Walters of BigFanboy.com. I was talking to Don yesterday at the display inside the exhibit hall, and I was really impressed with the intricate amount of detail that went into, like, even just some of the background things on this. Is it safe to say this is like the most detailed project you've ever done, just in terms of background details? And also, this is the second time we've seen you work in a major black and white film after Ed Wood, which is still my favorite film of yours. So,
well, I mean, it was a real pleasure to do it black and white, and that was part of the reason wanting to do it. I mean, any stop motion film is intricate. I mean, this, you know, we had a slightly smaller crew on this than we usually do, because you know, we wanted to kind of show the stop motion. Because I think when we did Corpse Bride, the puppets were so good, a lot of people thought it was like computer animation. So we just sort of went back and did it a little bit more low tech, and so that you felt the stop motion. But yeah, I mean, when you see the stuff, and you see the details, and you see everything, I mean, it's beautiful. It's like its own art form. So, but any stop motion, I think, has.
I think this one might feel that way because it's referential to things that you're familiar with. So you're looking at stuff that's from sort of the early 70s, and you have seen, you know, the glass grapes on the coffee table before, and then when you see them this big, it feels really special. So I think that would be
Yeah. And also the black and white draws out textures more. It's interesting. That's why it made them feel a bit more emotional. It makes you feel like you're there. It does a strange thing, which is hard to put into words, but it definitely affects, you know, the way you watch it.
Second row.
Mr. Byrd, I have to tell you, I'm right here. I've been watching your films since I've been like little, starting with Pee-wee's Big Adventure all the way up to seeing Dark Shadows a few months ago. You inspired me so much, like, to get into film and things like that. And you're honestly, like, I'm actually shaking now. I meet so many people, but you know, you're like my idol.
Well, thank you very much.
But I wanted to ask you, because Nightmare Before Christmas is like one of my favorite films of all time, if not my favorite film of all time. What was it like going back into this, and how has the technology changed now, like to do stop motion?
Well, I mean, that's I think what we love about it. You know, technology is a bit better, but it's still the same. You know, it goes back to the beginning of cinema. I mean, it's a technique that still basically is an animator moving a puppet, you know, 24 frames per second. So that's, I think, why we all love it. You know, as much as technology, you can do anything. There's just something about going back to the simplicity of that and the sort of excitement. You know, seeing somebody move it, and then you see it come to life, and it's just very magical. And like I said, it's a form that we keep coming back to because of that reason.
In the back.
Mr. Burton, Aaron Sagers, CNN.com. Thanks for your time. We see the science teacher, which is this great character voiced by Martin Landau. Looks very Vincent Price-esque. Is this sort of the ultimate fanboy character creation for you? And are there any other sort of hidden characters within the movie that are sort of your own personal Valentine?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like everything. I mean, you try to put references in for people that don't know Frankenstein movies. It's like, you know, it's not something that is necessary, hopefully, to see in the film. But yeah, I mean, from the kids to like remembering kids that I went to school with, the teachers, Vincent Price, you know, you threw Christopher Lee in there for, you know, and also just, you know, basically some of the characters like like Boris Karloff, and yeah, so there is personal things in there that were things that always meant something to me. But like I said, try not to make that necessary to watch the film.
On the far right of the front row.
Jimmy Aquino with Comic News Insight. How are you? Tim, I'm curious, since we're at Comic-Con, do you have any desire to take any of these properties or anything original and write and or draw your own comic?
What, here right now? It's a little exposing, isn't it? I like to do those things in private a little bit more, but no, I mean, it's exciting. Like I said, this is amazing that it's come from the holiday it's also, it's just fun to see like Halloween in July, you know, it's great. It's something that's very special about this place.
And in the back on the left.
Question for Atticus. As this is a bit of a spooky movie, can you tell us about the last nightmare you had and what scared you?
Okay, I better not see you in the parking lot with this, but, no, but what freaks me out the most would probably be like spiders and, or any arachnid, really. That's probably what does it for me, and I pretty much just have nightmares where I'll pick up a cookie and it's there on the cookie and it just looks at me and shows me the cookie, and then the rooms melt and fall apart and then they all just happen and I can't get away. But, no, it pretty much any arachnid will freak me out.
You're talking about therapy sessions.
In the front row here.
Hello, I just had a question, and it is, there's a lot of dressing up at Comic-Con. If you were to come here, what character would you guys dress up as?
I'm actually in costume right now.
Fantastic. I've come disguised as a human being. There's lots of good. I mean, there's some guy. I don't know. It's like hot out there. There's some guy that looked like he's wearing about like 3 tons of armor. I mean,
God bless him. Okay, it would be incredible. And brave. We're
Over here in the second row.
Hello. My question is for Atticus. I was wondering, do you have a favorite Tim Burton film?
You mean besides this one?
Yeah.
Smart kid. I would probably have to say A Corpse Bride, because that was one of the first I've seen, and I really did like that one, and I like the animation and everything.
On the right, front row.
Hi, question for Mr. Burton. The original Frankenweenie short was really, really fantastic and really, just like concise, small movie. I was wondering, was it a challenge, or what's the difference in the creative process of expanding and adapting a short into a feature-length film versus a fully original idea?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't too much of a stretch because, like I said, the heart of the story is the same, and like I said, it's just having some of these other characters that were sort of rattling around. It didn't make it seem like it was a different thing. I mean, that's why I feel proud about it, that it doesn't feel like it was a short that then we're sort of padding out into, it gets to explore like kid politics and the way kids are with each other and your teachers and things. So for me, it didn't feel like it was a padding thing or a stretching thing. It felt quite natural, which is, if it hadn't felt that way, it probably wouldn't have been worth doing. I mean, it's important that it works as its own thing.
All the way across here on the left in the front.
Hello, Tim. Do you ever ask your cast or crew to watch some of these older films that you get these ideas from? And if so, this one, which ones?
No, I don't even though there's obviously lots of references, but, I did, not so much with the cast, with the DP, I talked about a lot of, because it was important to kind of get the emotion, the sort of lighting that I think he did a really great job getting the kind of lighting we were. So in that particular case, I probably just showed him some, the old Universal things and just try to capture that. And going back and looking at those really old ones, there is amazing photography. And so that was important to try to capture that. But I try not to give too many real specific references just because you want everybody to kind of be their own thing, I mean, I talked to Atticus a little bit about Peter Lorre, but, it's like, not too much, you don't go too far with it.
Front row here.
Hi, Tim. I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm very excited to see Frankenweenie. But could you tell us, looking at the span of all the films you've worked on and created over the years, is there one that stands out as a favorite? I know it's hard to pick.
Yeah, it is hard to
pick.
pick.
Could you tell us why?
Yeah, well, It is hard to pick, because you spend so much time on each thing, but I mean, I think things like, I don't know, like Scissor Hands, or Red Wood, or Magnet, or this one is up there, you know, I do have ones that I feel, you know, you gotta connect to everything, but these are ones that are probably just slightly, a bit more personal.
In the center here.
Hi, my favorites are Ed Wood and Pork Fry. Anyway, what are your thoughts on doing the movie in 3D? Was it always your plan to do it that way?
Yeah, no, it's just the idea of seeing black and white 3D was something that I really was interested in, and we were interested in because, you know, there's obviously a lot of talk about 3D. It's too dark, it's too muddy, it's this and that. And this was an opportunity to kind of, you know, do it with the black and white, trying to keep it crisp, trying to keep it, the shadows dark. And I mean, it was a real, when I watch it, I love it because you see things in a different way. So yeah, the idea of stop motion, black and white 3D seemed like a really exciting combination.
And this is our last question here in the center.
I am Vegard Larsen from Norway. It seems to me that you're inspired by a lot of things from your childhood and when you were young. Do newer things inspire you also?
Do new things inspire you? Yeah, I hope so. I think a lot of things that you get inspired early in your life, and I mean, hopefully you keep getting inspired. But it's those early inspirations. I don't think they ever really leave you. I mean, you kind of, the first time you experience something is usually the most intense and most, you know, thing that you remember the most. So it's not like I'm, you know, feel like I'm arrested development and we'll be exploring that. It's just those are the kind of things that you know, have the most impact and still stay with you. So, but yeah, you know, you try to get inspired every day. I mean, it's important to constantly be surprised.
Thanks, everybody. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for.
Thank you, guys.